Hey, welcome back to the shop, or welcome to the shop for the new viewers. So, a bookshelf that looks like puzzle pieces. How do we begin? Well, you gotta get yourself a piece of MDF, 1/2 inch thick, and the design calls for 2-foot square pieces. So that's the first step. Take the MDF, run it through the table saw, 2-foot square pieces. Let's do that first. I'm going to use the PVC pipe fence here and here, bringing the piece in nice and tight. Going to clamp it down, then we're going to use the probe to zero off the corner. We'll never have to zero again, at least for this project. Now this order requires, she wants 2 more shelves, so that requires 4 of these. You'll have 2 what I call inside cuts and 2 outside cuts, and I'll go over that in the programming to show you what I mean by that. So we'll cut an inside, put another one on. I don't have to zero. I can zero for Z, cut an outside, and rock and roll. Then we can start putting it together. All right, I caught myself before I made a mistake here. I said we're going to use the pipe PVC, but as you can see, I'm not going to have enough space back here because I have the machine shifted forward so that I can do some milling on the front side. So I don't have enough travel to get to the back of it. So we're going to take these pipes out, and we're simply going to use the fence on the left and slide this thing forward so that I know I've got enough travel, enough Y travel to get me where I need to be. So now I know that I can reach it. We'll lock it in right here, then I'll zero off the corner and we'll go from there. But I'm going to have to make a mark so I know where my corner is. Otherwise I will have to zero off the corner each time. So I'll put a marker here, a piece of tape, something to tell me how far forward I pulled this. You could also take a piece of stock, put it right here and clamp it, and then run this up against it, and I may do that as well. Okay, so the program, you'll cut 2 of these pieces, which will give you 2 sides and 1 backer or 1 bottom board. The next thing is, I've got 2 of those cut out. Now we got to cut out 2 more backer boards to complete the shelves. So we'll clamp this down and I'll hit go and we'll rock and roll and cut out those 2 rectangles. All right, so you got them all cut out and we got them painted up. Now I have Lisa paint these before I glue them. Reason being is I need the tabs, the mortises, and the tenons to not have any glue or any paint on them, otherwise the glue won't stick. So paint them up before you start gluing them together. So as you can see, they are not glued, but like I said, the paint doesn't get on what you need the glue to be on. Now to put these things together, you have to, obviously we're going to apply glue, but in order to put them together, you have to put them together as a unit, because your shelves act as the stop so the thing doesn't slide back and forth. What that does though is it means you have to put these things together, oops, put them together the right way, so that otherwise, because they're so interlocking, you won't be able to slip them together. So you'll put this piece on, put the next piece in, put your last piece on, and continue from there. Now, in the programming, I'm going to show you that we have what we do is an inside cut, or a long cut, sorry, and a outside cut. What that does is it makes enough room for this pocket or this area here to slide over top of that one. Let me get this off. As you can see, that one there is very tight. It'll be good to go if I wanted to drive it on, but I don't really want to do that. The yellow one has to go next. That must be the outside cut. This must be the long cut. As I said, the yellow one fits. Now, the boards are interchangeable, so if you wanted to go with the yellow side plate and the red bottom and a yellow back, you could do all of those things. It doesn't matter. One thing you do need to pay attention to is when you're gluing it back up, that the boards are going to be covering the unpainted portions here. So if we do this incorrectly, it will not cover it up. We want to make sure we're putting this together correct. So the backer wall and the bottom, you can see it's not painted. This one has to go down, and then this one will go on the top. Let's put some glue on them and put them together. Now I have this stick-to-it glue here. I also 3D printed this thing as a glue bowl or a glue catcher with a unique design. The bottom, it's shaped like it's a half circle like a golf ball would sit in there, but the reason for that is when I put the glue in there and I start wiping it off like this, it all continues to run to the bottom so it doesn't go all over the place. And then of course I can set my brush on there when I'm in the process of assembly. So as I said, we put some glue down in the bottom. Pretty basic stuff, but there was a purpose behind this I thought you might find interesting. And now we're going to take some glue. Another thing I found is these little brushes that you can get really do a good job to get into these little places like this. And of course with the paint, it doesn't stick to the paint, so you can wipe it back off. Pretty straightforward stuff here. Now we're going to put the glue on all of the mortises. I'm going to go back through later and wipe the excess glue off that I've got on the painted surface. Don't freak out on me here. I don't know if you can see that though, but when I'm wiping it off, the glue is running right back down in. Got some wood bees in the shop here with me today, just for added fun. Alright, so we'll put this in where it belongs. We're not gluing the puzzle piece, obviously. We're just gluing the pieces together. This guy will go in here now. Let's put a little bit of gluage on there. Remember, this is the back, so we want to make sure we put this in correctly. Rubber mallet. Nice snug fit. We'll put the next board in here, and then I'll put the top piece on. Bottom, obviously. Covered in grass. Lisa painted it outside in the grass. All right. As you can see, they do lock in. Then we put the next piece on like so, and we continue to build. Moist towel left, glue comes right off. And there you have it, folks. A order fulfilled for Mr. James. Let's glue that one, smack that one a little bit. Beauty. I hope you got something out of this video. I know you guys requested that I do this. Stay tuned for the programming directly after this to show you how to do this in Carveco software if you're interested. But it's a pretty cool little shelf. It really does come out nice, and you can always add to it. You can continue to grow with the kid as the kid grows. Kids are goats, children are humans, so you're supposed to say children grow. But there we have it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Thank you for watching. As always, like, share, and subscribe. I'll catch you on the next one. Watch the next video or watch the programming. Thank you, everybody. Have a great one. Okay, so how do we make a bookshelf that looks like a puzzle? We're going to start with a new model. We're going to go with 24 wide, 24 high. We're going to work in inches. We're going to put the origin in the bottom left. We're going to click OK. All right, so now we've got our work area. The next thing you need to do is actually get the puzzle piece that you need. So I'll minimize this, and we'll go to the internet, and we'll search puzzle piece SVG free, and it's not going to come up with the one you need, so you're going to have to scroll down, and you're looking for the piece just like this one here. You need an open bottom and a male on the top. So you're going to click on that, and then we're going to download that piece, and then once we download it, we'll bring it into the software. So let's go back to Carveco now. We'll show you how to do that quick. All right, let's switch to the 2D view. I'm going to go up here to Vector. I'm going to go to Import. I'm going to go to Downloads. Then I'm going to go right here. There's where the puzzle piece is. I'm going to click on that, and we're going to open it. I've now got the vectors for my puzzle piece. Now, it's obviously way too big because we went 24 by 24, and it imports to the size of your project. So you're going to need to resize it. So the size of the puzzle piece is 11 inches wide. We're going to have the aspect ratio locked, and we're going to change the width to 11, and we're going to let the height adjust naturally on its own. Click Apply. Okay, there's your puzzle piece. Go to the cursor tool. The next thing we need to do is put in the mortises for the backer board and the bottom shelf. Now, the bottom shelf and the backer board are exactly the same. They are 10 inches wide. I'm sorry, board is 20 inches by 9 inches. But we need to make sure that we know where these mortises lie on this piece so that we can match that up with the board. So I'm going to zoom in here a little bit, and I'm going to drag in a guideline. I did that by clicking up in here by the numbers and dragging down. If you don't know how to do that, there's other ways as well. I'm going to hover over until I get the double arrow. I'm going to right click. I'm going to edit the guideline. I'm going to do a relative offset right here. I'm going to do 0.5, and I'm going to insert a guideline. I'm doing that so that this will be the bottom of the mortise. I'm going to do the same thing here on the left. I'm going to drag in a guideline. And when you see that symbol, you are right on the edge of your project. And then I'm going to right click again, edit that guideline, another relative. I'm going to go another 0.5. And we're going to insert. So that's where the edge of the backer board goes. Now let's get rid of these two lines here to eliminate some confusion. So if you hover over them, get the double arrow, right click, you can delete that guideline. Same thing with the one on the bottom here. We'll get rid of that. All right, so that's where the mortises need to fall. Now, the mortises are going to be the width of the board, which is 9, but the mortise, the tenon itself, is only 2 inches wide. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the box tool here. I'm going to start here when I get the crosshair. I'm going to drag up and over. I'm not going to worry too much about the landing spot. Then I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to change this to 0.502 with a height of 2. Oops, 0.2 right there. 2 point. We're going to create, and we're good to go there. Now, as I said, these things need to be 9 inches apart. So if I zoom in, grabbing the cursor tool, we'll grab this box, we'll pull it right to the corner. We're good there. Let's hover over this bottom line, right click. Oops, hover over it and right click. Let's edit this guideline, and let's do a relative now of 9 inches. We'll insert that. So now we know that the top of the next box will land right there on that crosshair. Highlight the box. We're going to go to the mirror tool. I'm going to mirror on top. I'm going to grab this box. When you get the window, you're on the corner, and I'm just going to drag it up until I get the crosshair, and then I know I've got it in the correct spot. All right. So now we have that. Now we need to do the same thing down here on the bottom. Let's zoom in a little bit. And I want the crosshair to be a 1/2 inch off of this edge. Let's try that. We'll edit that guideline. We'll do a relative. This time we need to do a negative 0.5 because we're going the other direction. Closing this out. So now then, here's where the bottom mortise lines up. Again, we need another one of these boxes. We can just simply make one. It'll be the easiest way. Dragging to the left and up. Again, we're going to go 2 inches wide. The height in this case will be 0.502. The reason it's not 0.5 is because we need to leave a little space. It needs to be just a little bit bigger than the thickness of your MDF. Now you should be measuring your MDF and adjusting this based on that. Go to the cursor tool. I'm going to go to this corner now, and we're going to drag it to here. Done. Now what we want to do is grab this and go 9 inches again. Edit the guideline. Relative. Negative 9 inches. We're going to insert that. Closing this out. Just like before, we'll mirror this, but this time we'll mirror to the left right here. I may be going a little fast. I'm going to try to slow down here a little bit for y'all. Highlight that. Getting the window, you'll drag across. Once you get that symbol, you're good. Release the key. And there are your mortises. So now we're going to delete all of these guidelines because we no longer need them. That is our actual piece. We're good to go there. So go up here to Vector. I'm going to slide down. Sorry, View. I'm going to go to View, slide down, and delete all the guidelines. And now we have our piece. So we need 2 of these, obviously. So the easiest thing to do here is to highlight everything. We're going to right-click, copy, right-click again, and we're going to paste. Now there's one on top of the other here. So if you grab everything and drag, it's going to drag them both. Don't do that. Don't click on anything. Just wait until you get the crosshair like that and pull it apart. And then you've got the 2 that you can see. So now we'll grab the first one and we'll orient that one over here. We'll grab the second one and we'll orient that one over here. So those are the 2 puzzle pieces. They are identical. Now when we do the cutout for these, you'll do 2 separate or 2 different toolpath strategies for each shelf. So the bottom shelf, we would do a long toolpath cutout. For the top shelf, we would do an outside toolpath cutout. And what that does is create enough space for, let me just grab this and I'll show you. It'll make enough space so that this can sit directly over that and have enough gap right in there. It'll give you a big enough kerf that the pieces will fit. Let's zoom into these 2 guys here. We missed one little step. It's not that big of a deal, but we need to put a fillet on the corner of these. So let's go to the fillet tool right here. We don't want a 3/4 inch fillet. Let's do 0.125. We're going to use an 1/8 inch end mill to cut all this out. And you're going to go over on each one of these corners, and when you get that is the wrong fillet, do an undo. We want a dog bone. When you get the window like that, you'll click and it'll open it up to give you space for the corners of your tool. So you just have to go around, and I could have done this when I only had one, and then when I copy and pasted it, it would have been perfect. But we can do this the long route. And if you're ever doing this and you get that symbol, that means you were not on the corner. Okay, so now we have the fillet done. We can close this out. All right, let's do some tool paths here. And what I do is cut out all of these guys. We'll push Shift, We'll group these together. These will be a area clearance toolpath. So click on toolpaths, go down here to area clearance. Start depth is going to be 0. Finish depth will be 0.5. Continuing down, we need to add a tool. As I said, we're using an 1/8 inch end mill. I'm going to select that. Use a raster toolpath strategy. It doesn't make sense to go around in circles here. We'll just go back and forth and cut it out. Setting up the material, 0.5. Click OK. We'll give this a name, mortise. We'll calculate now. Closing out the toolpath menu. So now we have our mortises in. These will be a profile toolpath, as I said. So you have to make the decision now. Are these going to be the bottom shelf or are they going to be the next continuing shelf? Let's call this the bottom shelf. And so we'll change this to along. Toolpath finish depth is 0.5. Still using an 1/8 inch end mill. Traveling down, we should put in some tabs. Let's go to 0.5 on a length, 0.25 on a depth. Let's go to edit bridges. We'll go over here. These two settings are correct. I prefer 2D bridges in this case. I'm going to have to slide this over or it won't work. Let's get these guys active again. Click apply here, and then let's go in and put some tabs in. We'll put one here, there. Now the reason I'm putting the tabs on these spots is because you don't want to set them in here where you have to sand them out. That will be difficult. Put the tabs on the flats on anything you do. All right, good to go. So we'll call this along, cut loose, and we'll calculate. So that's good to go. Closing this out. Now what we're going to do is go over here and we're going to shut off these light bulbs. If you click on this arrow, it'll show you all of your toolpaths. We're going to shut these all off. And we're just going to highlight these one more time. And we're going to do another profile toolpath. This time we're going to do the outside. Start depth 0. Finish depth is the same. 1/8 inch end mill again. We're going to select. Scrolling down. Let's edit the bridges. All you have to do is click on the edit bridges and it puts them back in. Scrolling all the way down, and we'll call this outside, cut loose. How many O's in loose? And we'll calculate, closing out the toolpath. So now you have two toolpaths here, along loose and outside loose. When you are making your cuts, just remember, one works for a bottom shelf, one works for a top shelf. Let's close out the light bulbs or shut them off. And what I'm going to do is grab these guys and we're going to grab everything and slide it off the page because we need to make the boards now. All right, zooming in. As I said, the boards are 20 inches wide by 9 inches high. Go to the rectangle tool. I'm going to drag out a rectangle. The width is 20. The height is 9. We're going to click create. Going to go to the cursor tool over here. Pushing F9 to put that in the center so we have something to work with. Click off of the box or rectangle. Now we need some more guidelines to make this happen. Let's zoom in a little bit. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to light these guys up and move them over enough that it's not confusing. You won't see them while I'm working. All right, guidelines. As I said, you can click over here and drag them in, or you can right click and insert a guideline. As you can see, very easily done. Let's go to view, delete the guidelines. I don't know why, I still like to pull them in from the left and the right. So there is a guideline right on the edge of your box. Here's another one on the edge of that box. Double arrow, right click, edit the guideline. We're going to do a relative offset again. Again, this should be the thickness of your MDF that you're using. We're going to go with 0.5 for this demonstration. We're going to insert there, closing that out. Going over to this one. Going to edit the guideline. Relative. Negative 0.5. We're going to insert. All right. Now we said the mortises on the pieces were 2 inches tall. So we're going to come up here, drag one into the top, right click, edit the guideline, you guessed it, negative 2 inches and insert. I'm going to drag another one all the way down to the bottom. We're going to edit that one. Relative again, 2 inches. We're going to insert. And we have everything we need to make the mortises. All right. Going over to the line tool. You're going to start out here, not on this point, out here. Left click and release. You're going to drag in until you get the crosshair. Click. Clicking again. Dragging out. Clicking again. Pushing the space bar. All right, we'll go over to this side and we'll do the same thing. Left click, hit the crosshair, left click, again and again, hit the space bar. Now we're going to go over to the snip tool over here on the left. I'm going to click on that. Going to go up here to auto join. We're going to click that. What we want to do is take out this piece right here. So we're going to click on this, snip that out, and you're going to snip off these tails here and here. Do the same thing on this side. We want to take out this, that, and that. Go to the cursor tool. Let's go back up to view and delete all these guidelines and you'll see what we have. We now have our board with our mortises, with our tenons to go in the board, but we need 2 of these. That's easily done. Highlight it, go to the mirror tool. Let's go on top. Close that out. Click on the bottom one. Drag this down relatively there. Click on this guy. We'll bring him down. And then those are simply profile toolpaths, outside cuts, start depth 0, finish depth 0.5, using the same end mill. There's no changing bits here. This is what makes this simple and easy. The only thing you have to keep straight is whether you're doing a long toolpath or an outside toolpath. We could call that bottom shelf, top shelf. That might make it simpler as well. We do need to add some bridges. Again, I'm clicking both mouse buttons to pull that over. So let's edit some bridges. This is all the same. Clicking apply. Let's put in some bridges. We'll put one there, one there. Don't put them in here. Again, that'll be difficult to sand out. You're only going to need 3. So we'll put them in like this. Call this board cut loose and calculate. You've got everything you need there. We can close this. Shutting off all of these. Now, when you go to save this, let's go to Save Toolpath. You have your board cut loose. You'll name that board cut loose and save. And then you'll click on this and move it over to the left side. And you will save these all individually, giving them the correct name. Mortise puzzle piece board. And when you're done with this one, you'll click over here. Click on that one, and it repeats itself. You just keep clicking until you have all of them named and all of them saved in individual toolpaths. Once you've done that, you'll be able to set that up in your machine and cut each individual toolpath out separately, and you'll be good to go. And that's how you make a puzzle piece bookshelf. I hope you got something from this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.